I thought this would be a good capstone to the Wargaming Tactics 101 that I've been pushing up to my channel here. This idea being that we all have our favorite war games, and there is specific tactica based on the rule set for that war game. But if we pull out for a moment, there are certain wargaming fundamentals that if you understand them, if we can master them, or at least if we can be aware of them, that's going to allow us to learn much quicker, become a lot more aware, and really start winning games as soon as possible. There's this idea that if you go out and play any wargaming system, play 10 games, that level of knowledge and experience that you're going to get in the rules and units and tactica in 10 games, can we do something to bring that down to 8 games, to 5 games, to 3 games? This idea of cutting down a learning curve. And naturally, YouTube with battle reports and tactica, Facebook groups, forums, this is all really, really great stuff to give you some new ideas. And as wargaming enthusiasts, as competitive wargaming enthusiasts, we want to take advantage of that fully. If anything, just to give us some new toys to play with, some new tactica in the toolkit for the tabletop. But if I could narrow it down to one thing, to help give you the greatest advantage and cut down that learning curve as quickly as possible, right? You've just started a new wargaming system with some friends, and you're like, look, I got to start winning. Or you've joined a gaming club, there's a lot of veteran players there, and you're like, look, I got to step my game up. Fritz, help me out. What can I do? This is the tactica that I've used to great effect in the past, and I continue to use. The most recent system that I've started playing, and it's been a couple of years now, was and is God Tier. This is a really fun, interesting skirmish game. Just a sidebar for a moment, I've pushed up to the channel here the God Tier playlist, looking at some of the different units and rules. And the rules are really, really dynamic. It's a fantastic, fresh rule set. But literally jumping into this game, it was myself and a few other friends. We're all veteran wargamers. We all, in theory, know what we're doing. But none of us have ever played God Tier before. And also at the time, God Tier was just out. We got in on the ground floor. So there was nobody else on YouTube talking about it. There was no battle reports. There was some Kickstarter stuff and a couple of reviews of the initial starter set, but that was it. So right away, it's like, look, I've got to get good. A couple of my friends, we got to get good because we're going to be growing the God Tier community here in New York, and let's do what we have to do. So this is the tactica that I utilized. You've got to play games. That's it. You've got to play physical games in that moment, pulling together the rules as best you can. You don't have to have the rules memorized. Don't wait and have the rules memorized. You can always look stuff up. You can always ask a friend, but you need to understand the scope of the rules to play the game. You've got your army. Yeah, you'll make tweaks. There's all these things, but essentially you learn by playing games. And I'm not reducing it to like tedium or a chore. You have fun rolling the dice and laughing and cool tactica, but you need that experience playing the games. We're going to optimize that. Now, this I use this for tournament play. This is purely to get good fast. You are sacrificing a little bit of the narrative and a little bit of the fun here. But what we would do is, let's say Warhammer 40,000. How long is an average game of Warhammer 40,000? If for us, it's about 3 hours, let's say. 2.5, 3 hours. We kind of play steady. We laugh, we joke around, we kind of look at different things. Sometimes the game will pause for a minute because it's like, whoa, look at that chaplain on the table. Can I pick him up? Can I check him out? You know, looking at the models and different things. But about 3 hours for a nice, relaxing game. So if we get together on a Saturday, we get a game in. We get 2 games in. If we're out there on Friday afternoon at the club, 1 game in. So if I'm playing every week, maybe I can get 2 games in. I mean, that's not bad. That's pretty good. How long is it going to take to learn something? So the way you cut down the learning curve is you play the game to the midpoint, and then you follow the logical conclusion. And again, we're talking Warhammer 40,000. This could be any system. I use this for God tier. God tier, there is a number of turns. So we would play till turn 2. Then we would stop the game and we'd say, look, yes, it's dice-based. Yes, there's occasionally crazy tactica, but most likely, if the game continued, who would win? So what this is teaching us is early on, some good tactica, controlled aggression, momentum, dominating the tabletop, being decisive, getting out of your deployment zone, all really, really good tactica to sharpen, to focus on. And it allowed us to play a game to that midpoint and then reset, play again, play again. Now, this isn't 100% because there are many times where you'll get to the midpoint in a game and tactic can shift or your opponent does something. But now, if I had 3 or 4 hours and I played one game, now I can get in 4 or 5 games, these kind of shortened games. And this is pure like training for tournaments or training tactica. We are sacrificing the narrative. I'm talking about getting good as fast as possible, either training for an event or jumping into a new system to figure things out, cutting down that learning curve. Because within that framework, hopefully my Tactica vlogs have inspired you, others on YouTube, Facebook. We're going to utilize all that, absolutely. But you got to get in there and play games and roll dice. And to cut down that learning curve, if it takes 10 games to learn and it's going to take you a month to play 10 games, can we do that in 2 weeks? Can we compress into a gaming session? And this acceleration of playing to the midpoint, it's not perfect by any means, but it is optimizing that for a tournament strategy or optimizing in learning a new game. So that is what I would recommend. And that is what I recommend. You want to get good really fast, put the narrative aside for a little bit with your friends, play to the midpoint or play 2 turns in or 3 turns in, pause. Most likely, given if the game continued, what would be the conclusion? Reset, play again. Midpoint, reset, play again. Compact those games just to get you ahead, just to give you that little push in the tactica, then go back and play the full games in the narrative, because that is why we're doing this wargaming thing.